Welcome to the Week 8 edition of the Legacy League's post-game show. I'm your host this week, Joey Zacco. Wait, nope, an even better shooter, Greg Horne. Sorry, Joey, I had to do that because I know he's going to watch that. I'm here joined by my weekly rebound duo, brother in crime, the most underrated Legacy Leagues player in history. Hashtag give Connor more minutes. All I'm going to say. Connor, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. I appreciate the kind gestures there. Thank you.
Of course, and we're here with Ashton, intern extraordinaire. Also, Ashton is one of the rare interns who played in this league too, an intern, so he joins me with that. Ashton, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
Hanging in there, ready for the Super
Doing
Bowl,
good.
but we'll get to that later. So first we'll start with the game. A lot of good games this week, so I think the viewers will be very happy about that. We got some really good games to go over. But the first one we're going to start with is the biggest skis versus the basket brawlers. And this was an absolute battle. The basket brawlers have kind of gone through a lot of changes this year, to say the least. Their two best players aren't on the team anymore. So that's definitely something they're going to have to overcome. And then just outside of that, it's kind of hard at the end of the season to kind of get that momentum and gain that chemistry when you got to go right into playoffs. So I'll kind of kick it to you, Connor, because I don't think Ashton saw this game. What do you think? What did you see from basketballers' biggest skis, and how did biggest skis pull it out 72-62?
Yeah, like you said, the basketballers, excuse me, they brought in some new bodies the last few weeks. And, you actually saw the impact that some of these guys are making right away. I know one of them, I was talking to some of their guys on the bench. They said that this guy's, he's played D2 ball. So when he came back off to take a rest on the bench, I was getting a second to catch up with him. And he said he hasn't hooped in a while, but you can just tell by the way he was moving out there. He was definitely putting up some really good numbers and giving them some new life for the basketballers, which they needed. Obviously not having Chad and Jaden down the stretch here for the rest of the season is going to be tough to fill in those shoes. But nonetheless, they fought hard against the biggest skis. But this was the biggest skis game that they really needed to kind of put themselves in good momentum heading into the playoffs. They had four guys finish with double-digit scoring. Eli Henry was terrific from the field. He shot 9 for 12, and Danny Thomas led the team in scoring with 21 points. So, this was we've seen the biggest skis kind of have some games where they're able to eke out some wins, or maybe even they lose late, by a single digit close scoring game. But it always felt like they were kind of never on the same page. It was just like they looked like they were taking turns playing a lot of isolation ball. You really saw a different biggest skis this past week. So I think it was a really important game for them to kind of set the tone. And, hopefully we see more of them playing of this fashion, heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, no, totally. And I'm kind of curious where Sevi Velasquez has been. He was one of the better players for Biggest Skis. And, he's played 4 games. He's a big body. He's kind of I think this Biggest Skis team, I don't know if they've had their full team yet this entire season. And when I did the interview with them after the game, that's all they kept saying. They're like, we're going to have our full team in playoffs. And don't look now, but Danny Thomas is starting to play well. He's starting to hit threes. He's playing really well. Eli Henry, like you said, is coming into his own. He's not shooting as much. He's just attacking the rim, which is exactly what they have to do. Just attack the rim. And then they got some good players on that team. Devin Serrano's good. I mean, if they can get Sevi Velasquez there and then they kind of, figure out a few things, I kind of like this Biggest Skis team going forward. But I couldn't agree with more with you what you said, Connor, and we'll kind of go on to the next game, which was a very, very close game. We actually had a game winner in it by Jacob Morales, and it was an absolute battle this game. So I'm going to kick it over to Ashton and just kind of go through it. Would have been took it 52-51, and what did you see, Ashton?
Sorry about that. From that game, Sportslook came out really hot. Like they ended up going up 21-11 at one point, and then they ended up, I think they ended up at half up, end of the quarter up by 9. They were looking clean. They looked like they were energetic, ready to play. And then the second quarter came, and Would Have Been just took it back over. They had 14 points in that whole second quarter when Sportslook had 0, which was like the story of the game because they probably scored at least 4 points, maybe two, they would actually won this game at the end because they only finished 52-51. They only needed one shot in that second quarter. And I could hear them from the bench because I'm sitting in the middle, and they're like,
Mhm.
we need to score points. We need to put up offense, slow the ball down, take it down slowly, calm down. Don't just chuck up a shot. And then they just did nothing. And would have been just took over the game. And then the second half, they basically had control. It was basically just having Sportslook play catch up. And Jacob Morales played really well with 20 points. He kind of like helped push that team together and end up actually winning the game for them. And would have been looks really good coming into the playoffs coming up this week.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I'll kick it to Connor to kind of get his analysis. Connor, what do you think kind of puts would have been ahead of Sportslook at this moment, and what did you see from them?
It's Jacob Morales, and not to mention Jason Velez as well. I mean, that's kind of the two-headed monster that they been really riding for the duration of the season so far. Yeah, Jacob's been putting on a show the last few weeks and definitely cementing himself as one of the leading All-Star candidates, at least on my ballot. And Jason Velez has been an absolute sniper. I was talking to Jason last week. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. He had a game where he was just heat checking everything he touched, and he was just drilling threes from all over the court, taking shots from like 6, 7 feet behind the 3 point line, getting some banks to go in. It was one of those nights where it just like he couldn't miss. And I got a chance to talk with him. And I was like, hey man, I wish I was able to be on the post game after that game. I was obviously busy that day, but I just wanted to give him some of his flowers. He's been playing really well this year. And, with Jacob playing as good as he is, he needs a co-star. And you see Jason Velez this past week, 17 points, 7 of 11 from the field, and 50% shooting from the 3 point line. So it's always going to require, more than one guy. So I think right now it would have been, they found a good formula for success. They got their two top dogs really just going off and clicking at the right time. So I think that's what put them over the top of Sportsbook, which, obviously Brian Acevedo, we've seen him have some terrific games, Greg, in the past, one of the OG veterans of this league. He had a great game. Just a little bit, too little at the end of the game. They couldn't find a way to eke out that win. I know they were upset with some of the officiating at the end of the game, but that's sports, whether it be at the professional level or even here in recreational leagues. You always tell players, try to not put the game in the ref's hands. But that's just the nature of sports. It's the nature of the game. Sportsbook was, a little bit upset, but would have been, they're going to do whatever they can to scrap out those wins, and they got one this week.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I had Jason Velez on my all underrated team a few weeks ago when we did that. I'm so glad you mentioned him. He's been playing great. I mean, I don't think people realize he's one of the bigger bodies in this league, and he's 26 of 56 on the year from three. That brings him at pretty much 47%. And that's a very good clip if you're taking he took about 63s this in the regular season. So Jacob Morales is probably one of the better dunkers we have. I'm sure he's in the dunk contest. I'm sure of it. And, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I love what I see from would have been. It's hard to feel bad for Sportslook. It really makes you wonder if they played in a few more of these games and had a few more bodies on their team, would they be the 6 seed? Would they be a 5 seed, 4 seed? And now they get that 8 seed where they're matched up with Yaga. And that just might be too much for them, but we'll get to that later. Speaking of Yaga, Yaga played the basketball brawlers in the next game, and Yaga won 104-79. Nothing really memorable happened in this game. It was pretty quiet. Not a lot of passing, ball dominant. Yeah, I mean, we could just skip past this game. Yaga wins again. And now I'm just kidding. For the record, Chris Rosinski broke the all-time CT Legacy League's assist record in one game with 20 assists. So let's, insert the round of applause into this video. Shout out Rosinski. He did his thing. He did his thing. So Ashton, I'll let you take it over here. How did Chris Rosinski carry this Yaga team to victory?
He was their point guard. He brought the ball up. He dished it around. He played more of that passer playmaker role, and he took it over. You could tell from the team, like in the first half, Yaga was really like struggling. They didn't look like themselves at first, but then out of nowhere, they just started hitting shots like usual, like they've done every week since they've probably been in the league. They hit shots and they make them and they win. And Chris was just there. They gave him the ball. He passed it back to them and would nail a three. And next thing you know, we're at 17 assists and we just broke the record. And they're like, I hear him yelling in the court, "We're gonna get you 20. We're gonna get you 20." And they actually did it. And Chris was having a lot of fun out there. For the basketballers, though, it seemed like they were tired. They had the back-to-back games this week,
Yeah.
so they were kind of a little fatigued. They still played pretty well. Jonathan
Mm-hmm.
Lytle, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He played really well. He was dominant in the paint, and Yaga had nothing to really kind of slow him down. But they both teams played great. Yaga just looks like Yaga. They look like they're ready to go on a championship run, and they are the best team in the league, and they look like it every week.
Yeah, no, Connor, what'd you say?
Yeah, like Ashton said, Yaga got off to a slow start, and a big part of that was the fact that Chris was running the point, right? So Chris obviously isn't your traditional point guard. So there was definitely, a feeling out process for how he was going to get his guys involved. I think he was just at first just trying to get the ball to these guys in spots where they really weren't in a great position to score, and some bad shots were being, put up by Yaga. Then they settled down. I think Chris kind of found his groove, right? You start to understand, I got to put them in positions to score. And then the shots just started falling left and right. And then at the end of that game, basketballers was completely out of gas, and Chris was able to, really take advantage of some fast breaks, catching, the brawlers not getting back on defense, and, just assist after assist after assist as they racked up all the way up to the new record. So shout out to Chris Rosinski, good friend of the league, been in the league forever. He's assembled some great rosters, and, usually takes a back seat to let these guys shine. So it was really cool to see the guys rally around him and put him in the spotlight for a game like this, to end the regular season. I think that's really cool to see. At the end of the day, these guys are all friends, and they want to see each other succeed. And the energy that Yaga brings, it's unparalleled in this league. We've never seen anything like it. To show every time these guys step on the floor. And even in games like this where they're winning in blowout fashion, everyone that was watching that game was entertained and having a good time. So I think that's what makes Yaga so special. Not even the fact that these guys are all extremely talented basketball players. It's just the brand that they represent when they're out there playing. So shout out Yaga, a great game. And Brawlers, and I want to say real quick about the basketballers. I heard Pratt giving them a lot of love after the game, just saying, you guys are true hoopers. Anytime a team can't show up to play us or whatever it may be, that's life. But these guys are always they're always ready to go. They'll play a doubleheader. They don't care. So I really respect the basketballers. I know that these boys on Yaga do as well. And I think that's something that kind of goes uncredited sometimes in this league is just the effort level that these guys put in. And I think that, when it comes to effort and, the basketballers, they're right up there at the top. So, I hope that these guys can scrap together, some playoff success. We'll see what happens with their new additions. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit tough to get everybody on the same page so quick, but they definitely have the potential to do it. I wouldn't sleep on the basketballers, but yeah, I think this was a real statement game by Yaga to just go out there and cement themselves as the top dog heading into the playoffs, #1 seed.
Yeah, no, I can agree more. And yeah, the basketballers, it looks like in the first round, they're going to be playing Get Money. Speaking of Get Money, they took on Redeem Team in the last game of the year. This was the battle for the 2 seed. And Redeem Team, showed off their legacy league, just being veterans in this league and just really kind of understanding how to play. But Connor, I'm going to kick it back to you. What about Redeem Team kind of help them get over the edge, and what maybe to Get Money learn from this game, and what can they take from this going forward?
The Redeem Team, I talked to them in the post game. It's Kintuan Miles, aka Pooch, if you've been around the league. I mean, this kid is I love him as a player, man. He's just so fun to watch. He tucked in the jersey. He was all about business. And you should have seen some of the defensive efforts that he was making. If you look at the stats, you're going to see the 23 points, the 10 for 12 shooting. You're going to say, wow, what a great game on offense by Kintuan. But it was the defense for me, man. He doesn't take any possessions off. He's played with Reggie Stewart in the past. They've won championships together. Bringing in a guy like that, they needed some size. They lost some big bodies, during the season, obviously losing Cody. Bringing in a guy like Pooch is like the perfect replacement for Cody DiLeonardo. He's a high energy, great rebounder, great defender, who's also going to go out there and slam on you if you dare getting underneath that basket anywhere close to him. So, it was the Kintuan show, it was the Pooch show. Reggie was hitting some big shots. Eric, kind of a quiet night from Eric, but nonetheless, he was pretty efficient and playing great defense, which if Eric's your third best player, you're always going to be in a situation where success is imminent. So, I think the Redeem team was a huge win, just getting over Get Money, who was one of obviously the hottest teams in the league. They went on that nice big win streak throughout the middle and the thick of the season. The McRae's, we talked about it a little bit late, Greg. Kind of a weird lineup, towards the end of that game. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it was Tyron McRae who was on the bench,
Yeah.
and we were looking over at each other saying, like, why is he not on the floor right now in crunch time, single digit game, few minutes left? So I think maybe just an adjustment to their rotations, especially just making sure that you have your closers out there late in the game. I don't know if Tyron was tired, maybe he was dealing with an injury. Didn't really get the full story about that, but I think for Get Money, just making sure that you got, your most talented players out there in the most crucial parts of the game. It's definitely something that's really going to be important for them heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I actually, yeah. I mean, I think, look, I get it. Tyrene wasn't having a good game. He was 3 of 15 from the field, 0 of 9 for 3. It's a rough game, but you just you gotta live or die by your best players. You don't want to look back and say, we could have done, should I have done. It's better to be like, we failed. We just got to pick our head up and move on to the next one. And, they had a rough game. It wasn't their best game. They 12% from 3. As a team, they shot 30% from the field. And look, they only lost 53-46. Redeem team played very well. I think there's some positives from this game they can take from it. They can learn from it, and they're going to have to, move on and rebound quick because they got the basketballers coming up, and they're not a slouch. They're going to really fight, and I think Get Money learned a valuable lesson in this game, and I think you need games like this to really make a run, and I think that they can really use this going forward. So shout out to Get Money. I love those guys. They're great guys, and I expect them to bounce back, and I expect a rematch of Redeem and Get Money. I think that we're definitely looking at that. So speaking of that, we're going to go to the bracket now. We're going to switch on over to the Legacy League bracket, which got some good matchups in the playoffs. So I'll read them all first, and then we'll just break them down. We got Yaga, the 1 seed, playing the 8 seed Sports Look. So Sports Look, tipsy-turvy year for them. They up and down. But they're in, and they're at the 8 seed, and they get the hardest matchup. So we'll see how that goes. We got Would Have Been and Biggest Skis at the 4-5. That's going to be a great one. It's going to be a really good one. Then the matchup I was just talking about, Get Money Basket Brawlers, should be another really good one. And then we got Redeem Team Crown Squad. So looking at it, it might be a little the 1-8, 2 7s. Going to be more challenging for those teams on upset alert. But we're going to start with the 1-8, and I'll go to Ashton. You first. Who do you got in the Yaga Sportslook matchup, and what do you think are the keys?
Well, for this game, Yaga obviously being the best team doesn't help Sportslook. Yaga's probably gonna come out red hot like they always do. In Sportslook, they don't play a complete game. So for them to try to upset Yaga, they need to play a full game complete, like playing it like perfectly. This has to be a perfect game from Sportslook. You can't make one single mistake because once Yaga gets a lead, they keep that lead and they extend it. But if they can keep up head to head with them, they have a chance to win. But what I've seen from Sportslook, it didn't look great this week, and it's not a great way to go into the playoffs. So I got Yaga winning this one.
What about you, Connor?
Yeah, I mean, it's listen, Greg knows from my days being on the podcast. I love picking underdogs. I love doing
Yeah.
things that kind of ruffle people's feathers. I would love nothing more than to tell you guys that Sportsbook has a chance of winning this game because I like those guys. They're an OG team in this league, and it's great to see them back here in 2024. So unfortunately, I can't say that. Yaga's a powerhouse. Yaga's clicking on all cylinders right now. Sportsbook has been, they've been MIA for a few weeks, and I think that they're trying to pick up the pieces right now, and it's just going to be a little too late here. Now you're the 8 seed going up against, the number 1. It's going to be a tough matchup. I'm not going to put it past Sportsbook to just go out there and lay on their backs because in the past I've said Sportsbook would be my team that you can't overlook in the playoffs. So I think Yaga would know that, and I would expect them to come out with some high energy like they always do and try to assert themselves early in this game. And if they do that, they should, cruise to victory in this one. But yeah, I think Sportsbook just, they gotta try to scrap and claw, keep the game close, and just keep it in the single digits heading into the fourth quarter. That would be, an ideal situation for them. Try to set themselves up for, a late situation where they could pull out the win. But for Yaga, it's just so much talent. There's so much ability on that team that I can't not pick them. So Yaga for me is going to be the team that advances.
Yep, I got Yaga as well, and we'll move on to the next one. We got, you know what? We'll move on to the next game. We'll do the 2-7. We got Redeem Team versus Crown Squad. Crown Squad taking the 7th seed, which is good for them. They've improved each game this year, and you can tell they're getting better as a team. They're figuring this league out. So, Ashton, who you got? Redeem Team Crown.
Like you said, Crown Squad has gotten better every game. I noticed that every game seems to get a little bit closer, and I think they could have a chance, but Redeem Team is also, like you said, a veteran team. They've been here before. They know how to play this game. Um, I feel like if Redeem, like this is gonna be a close matchup. I do feel like it's gonna be a very close game. It's gonna come down probably to veteran leadership because I feel like at the end of the games, it comes down to that one person that's like the leader of the team. It doesn't have to be the best player, but that one guy, like how it's that glue guy. And I feel like Redeem Team comes out with the win on this one, but I bet it's gonna be a very close game.
Yeah, yeah. What about you, Connor?
Yeah, I'm also going with the Redeem in this game. Shout out to Crown Squad. No hate against those guys at all. I love the fact that
Yeah.
they drive all the way from New York. And they might be a 7th seed, right? They're towards the bottom of the rankings, and
Mm-hmm.
typically you would associate those teams with just a team that really just goes out there and kind of just chucks the ball around. They're not really engaged or whatnot. But that's not Crown Squad at all. They bring full effort, full energy. Sometimes they just a little bit outmanned. They don't usually have a whole plethora of players on their bench. So sometimes depth becomes an issue, running out of gas late in these games. But they're a high energy team. I love what they bring to the table, but there's just there's like kind of what we were just talking about with Yaga. There's just so much talent on Redeem team between whether it be Reggie Stewart, Booch, Eric Singleton, Miles Raymond. Dante has been an outstanding defender this season. There's just too much there for Redeem for me not to pick them. So I got the number 2 seed Redeem advancing here.
Yeah, I got redeemed too. Love the Crown Squad boys. Echo everything Connor said. They're great guys. They're figuring it out and just keep kind of pushing and building on that. But we'll move on to the next game, which should be a good one. It's Get Money versus Basketballers. Get Money coming off a big loss against the 2 seed Redeem team. So Ashton, I'll start with you. How can Get Money bounce back against the Basketballers and maybe take this one and start their playoff run? And what can the Basketballers do to get an upset here?
So Get Money has been pretty good all year. They obviously took a tough loss this week. Obviously, it's the fight for the 2nd seed, and those are in very important games. But you can never shoot out when it's a close game. Like if they got blown out like by 50, then we're having a different conversation. But Get Money is a very good team, but so is the Basketballers. Even though they played a double header, even their 2nd game where we know they were gassed and they didn't have that many players, they still played really good. They scored 79 points against the best team, and that was a very close game. That game could have been a 60-point loss. What we know Yaga can do, and I can actually see basketballers pulling up an upset because they just play so well. They gel together despite the fact that they had so much adversity throughout the season, losing their 2 best players. They found a way to kind of fix it back up to a point where they can actually win games. And this is gonna be a close one, but I got basketballers coming out on top.
All right. What about you, Connor?
Wow, upset alert over there, Ashton. I love
Wow.
that. I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
like that.
For me, it's Get Money. And what I want to talk about real quick with Get Money is because we're always talking about Tyron and Tysheem McRae, with the way that they score and their physical ability on the basketball court. But I think something that we haven't really talked a lot about this season, they're kind of like player coaches. I don't know if anyone else has noticed. They're very high IQ. Whenever there's a timeout, they're always trying to, organize the defense, organize the rotations, the switches on the screens. They're always very assertive in terms of making sure that their guys get back and play both ends. They don't like when they see their guys taking possessions off. And we saw them, they lose their first game and they come back and they go on this big win streak that we saw that catapulted them to the 3 seed that they currently hold. So I think the adjustments that this team makes is something that needs to be, talked about a little bit more because, it just seems like Get Money, whenever they took the wrong step, they would make 2 steps in the right direction immediately after. So I think the adjustments that they're going to make coming off a tough loss for Redeem team is going to make them that much better. And it kind of is a recipe for disaster for the basketball. Just because I think, Get Money, like I just mentioned, is a lot better. I feel like coming off that loss, making those adjustments and, kind of re-engaging themselves into their next game. So I think that's what's going to put them over the top of the basketballers here in this game.
Yeah. Sorry, Ashton. I love the upset pick. Love it. But I'm gonna go get money too. Just kind of the same thing Connor says. I just trust these boys to bounce back. They're too good of a team. I think it'll be a close game. It'll be hard fought. But I think at the end, the talent of Get Money is just kind of going to shine through and be the slight advantage that they have, and just kind of push them on to the next level, the next round for a potential rematch with Redeem Team. But for the next game, we got a good one. Biggest skis would have been the 4-5 matchup. 4-5's always a great matchup. And I mean, Ashton, I'll give it to you. 4-5. You could say the skis are an underdog upset, but I'd love to see what Vegas has the lines at. Ashton, who you got?
So for this game, the 4-5 matchup always to me never seems like a 4-5 matchup. It feels like they're just the same team fighting each other. Like they're going against each other. It's always that even matchup team. And
Yep.
I do say with this game, I think it all depends on who comes out on fire and whoever extends the lead. Because I've seen both teams play and they both are very good at what they do. They both play a little bit differently, but they play the game really well. Would have been the one thing that could cost them is sometimes they do like to check up threes a lot. I've noticed that in every
Yeah.
game I watch them play, they like to check up threes, but they still come out with a win. And I'm having a hard time thinking who's gonna win this game. But if I want to take a guess, I'm going to say would have been. I feel like they can group up at the last minute, but it's gonna be a very close game. I think it could be a 2-point game and come down to a game winner.
Yeah. No, I mean, the 4-5 is always one of those. Connor, what do you got?
Greg's talking about spread, so it's just got me on my betting. He's pulling out the degenerate in me right now. Um, yeah, I think this. If I had to set a spread on this game, it would be a very close one. I would probably
Yeah.
would have been as like a maybe minus 3.5 point favorite, something in that ball, something in that area, I would say. But
Hmm.
I yeah, I think these teams are almost identical. It's crazy. They both have really deep benches, and they both play at a high pace. And they both kind of have the same issue. I feel like at sometimes with would have been they kind of get a little disorganized and they just kind of let some isolation play take over their offensive production. But the biggest skis kind of have that same thing. So I think it's going to be whoever comes out gets their team involved, most evenly, is going to be the one that edges out the other in this one. So for me, honestly, I've been picking the favorites in all these matchups, and I love would have been, but I'm gonna have to take the biggest skis. For my bracket here. I think that would kind of separate my bracket a little bit from everybody else. So that would be my underdog pick here in the first round. Would be the biggest keys taken down. Would have been in a really really close game that's hard fought all the way to the end.
Yep. So gonna have to ring the bell. Chris Rosinski, I hope you're listening. I know he's gonna send this in his little group chat. So send it, Rosinski. Biggest skis are winning the ship. My pick. Greg Horne's lock of the year. Biggest skis are winning the ship. Yaga. Nah, I'm not saying anything. I know Yaga's gonna kill me. But look, I'm having fun with it. We're having good. Biggest skis, they have the talent, they have the size, they have the ability. I completely agree with what Connor said. Sometimes they seem unorganized. It seems like they aren't playing as a team. There's a lot of times when I'm recording and I see it. I'm seeing what they see, and they'll miss an easy alley oop, or they're gonna miss a wide open player, or they're not cherry picking. One of the things I think people don't realize about Yaga is sometimes Yaga, yes, they don't play defense, but they take advantage of teams that don't get back better than anyone in legacy leagues. And because it's 4-on-4, there's a lot more opportunity for that. And when you have the athletes that the biggest skis do, and if they have their full team, just run. You got to just run, move, get down the court, because they have the better athletes, I think, in this matchup by a little margin. And I think that's kind of what's going to separate them. And then, going forward, they just got to stay consistent. If things aren't going their way, it's fine. But I think the biggest skis have the athleticism, have the size, and have the ability to take it all. So Greg Horn's lock it in. And with that, we're gonna go. Since I did my title pick, I'll let you kind of ride the wave, Ashton. And who do you got for the Legacy League's Winter 24 champion?
Well, I see them from Jaeger, and I know they're the best team. We've seen them win. You guys seen them win multiple championships. I do have them winning the championship, but I do
Okay.
think this would be a team that's gonna be very close with them, and they'll end up probably playing them in the second round. And I think that's gonna be would have been. I think they're gonna give them a hardcore fight where they could knock them out, but I don't see anyone beating Yaga unless they have like the world's best game they've ever played.
Yeah, no. And now, I mean, I can't knock you for picking them. From Shocker City to Yaga, they're the They're the ones. They're the ones. They are the guys. And now I know this clip's not going to be put in the chat, but you guys are him, Yaga. Connor, who you got?
Man, it's Yaga season. It really is. I think for me, I think it's either going to be between Redeem Team or Get Money would be my guess as to who they're facing. And either way, it'd be a tough matchup for Yaga if they don't bring their A game, But that's the thing, man. Yaga always shows up. I think Pratt is the one who he makes sure if Pratt brings that energy, which I've never seen him not do, the boys are going to follow him too. And that's just the key to their success. That's the recipe. I think we were talking about it, Greg, during the week. We were saying, we're talking about our MVP picks, and obviously we each had Pratt, pretty much right up there at the top. And we said it's not even the fact that he's a great basketball player. It's not even the fact that he has one of the smoothest jump shots in the league. It's his energy, man. It's the fact that when you think of Yaga, you think of Pratt, and with a guy like that as your leader, how can you not want to follow him into battle? So for me, that's what would put Yaga over the top. But Redeem Team's got guys like Reggie Stewart and Pooch, and Get Money's got the McRae's. They got some dogs that they're gonna have to go up against potentially in that finals if they make it there. And I still think that Yaga just has a little bit more than everybody else, even though it's pretty close up there towards the top. The top dogs are all really good teams. But I think, like I said, Yaga's going to be the one that pulls out at the end.
Yeah, no, I mean, Yaga has those guys like Pratt. Pratt really is there. Like he brings them all together. He brings the energy and the vibes. And then you got guys like Mike Davis, Dave Armstrong, TJ. I mean, Danny, Brzezinski, the point guard. They're so deep, so talented. I mean, they're of course, they're the pick. That's obvious. But biggest skis, don't let me down, okay? And if they do, whatever. I've been wrong before. But besides that, we're going to end on one fun question, and that is who wins the Super Bowl tomorrow night? We got the Chiefs and the 49ers next year. Who knows? Could be Panthers, Steelers. But Ashton, I'm going to start with you. Who do you got in the Patty Mahomes Niners Taylor Swift Bowl?
I like to call this game the Alex Smith Bowl because he played on both teams. I got
That's
to go from
funny.
the Niners to the Chiefs, so it's a little fun
That's good.
joke you can make out of it. Sadly for me, I wish both teams could lose. I don't want either team to win, but I'm going to take the Niners because I like so many players on that team, and I've already seen Mahomes get two. I've seen Travis get two. I think it's finally time for CMC, George Kittle, who's already been there before, Fred Warner, who I'm a huge fan of. I love a good old hard-hitting linebacker in the middle, and the Niners are really famous for it. They had Patrick Willis before that, so I want the Niners to win, and I'm hoping that happens. That's my pick.
All right. Connor, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything Ashton said. I think the Niners are a powerhouse. But get the heck out of here. It's Chiefs Nation. Patrick Mahomes is winning the ring. I'm a time traveler. I'm from the future. I already watched this game. The Chiefs already won. If you're a betting man, follow me. I promise you, Chiefs are taking it home. Don't even think twice about it. It's Patrick Mahomes in his prime in the Super Bowl versus a second-year quarterback. It's wrapped. It's wrapped.
Yeah, no, Connor convinced me there. I love the beanie. I like it. I'm riding with the Chiefs. I do hope CMC can get a ring eventually. That'd be cool for him. Great guy. But I think the Chiefs, a lot of things say the Niners. A lot of stats say, oh, pick the Niners, do this. And it reminds me of how it used to be with Brady when everyone would be like, oh, pick this team. Oh, this guy's going to do this. And then it never happened. End of the day, I'm just going to trust Pat Mahomes over whoever the hell else is going on. And because at the end of the day, on Monday, I'd rather, if I lost money losing on Pat Mahomes, I could take that more than if I lost money looking back at myself, like, why did I not pick him? So that's where I'm at. Ashton, Connor, you guys got anything else? Anyone else you want to praise for the regular season performance and legacy? Now's the time. Anyone?
I'll go first. I think Jacob Morales and Jason Velez, I mentioned them earlier in the show as well. I think they've been a really solid team. I know they might be upset if they're watching that I picked the biggest skis, so I just want to make sure I get a little bit of extra love because it's all love for those guys, man. I really enjoy talking to those guys, watching them play, and they're showtime. Jacob's one of the smoothest finishers in the league, and Jason's he's just a 3-point threat from everywhere he touches the ball. So I think they were a great addition to the league this year. They made it a lot more competitive, and it was really fun watching them, kind of develop and evolve their game throughout the regular season. As being a first time team in the league, you always see, it's tough for these guys to figure out the new game that they have to adjust to, the lower rims and whatnot. And I think they did a really good job of figuring it out as the season went along. So I just wanted to give them a little bit of a shout out there at the end here.
Love it. What about you, Ashton? Anyone or?
I think since joining the league as an intern in this league, I
Yeah.
like watching Jonathan Lytle play because he's a really good big man in this league. He knows how to control and he's very dominant in the paint, but he also sometimes hit threes, which is like rare from big men,
Mm-hmm.
and he can do it both sides. He's a good defender, but he holds up that paint. When he dunks it hard. You can hear
Oh yeah.
and you can hear the whole rims like
Mm-hmm.
going, and it's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's see some good picks there. To just give people shine. We're always talking Yago. We're always talking Singleton, Pratt, Davis, Rosinski, Pooch, all these big name stars who carry their team. Oh wait, no, sorry, take out Rosinski, but you know what I mean. But I love those choices because there's a lot of guys in this league. Someone like a Dante Abate or just someone. There's just so many people in this league that go underappreciated because there's only so many awards that can go around. So just remember, if you're ever listening, it's all love from all of us. This Legacy League family, it's a real thing. And from me, from Ashton, from Connor, we hope you guys enjoy your Super Bowl weekend. And get ready for a great playoffs because there's going to be fireworks. And tune in next time for the Legacy League's postgame show.
Go Chiefs.